Howdy folks. What I have right here is a nest full of almost week-old wiggling little baby silver fox bunnies right here. Hi there, this is Jordy from Northern Homesteading, helping you to be successfully self-sufficient. Here you go. You see, it look pretty cool. Look at that. You see it? Man, this whole thing is wiggling. Now this is a quality nest full of babies right there. This mama makes a good nest, keeps them warm. It's 22 degrees out right now back here in the shade. And these guys are quite content and warm in their nest outside with little to no protection. Now this video is what to expect with your rabbits, particularly with your baby bunnies, newborn bunnies, out in the winter temperatures outside with very little shelter, like mine are here. Be cautious around a pregnant or nursing mama bunny. They get very hormonal and tend to get very grumpy. Even the nicest mama rabbit tends to all of a sudden look at you with just an angry eye and get very defensive. Not necessarily aggressive, it's more defensive. It's a defensive nature. So sometimes you want to be a little cautious. A lot of times I won't reach into cages with the mamas unless I have a glove on my hand, or I'll do this here. So they can just get a little ornery. Hey there, you gonna be mad at me? You're a little mad. Well, you're the one who dumped your water out. Hey, leave it alone. Thank you. Okay. There. Man, you are a grump. Now I had two rabbits out here have a litter of bunnies about a week ago. Sadly, I lost one of them, and honestly, I didn't expect to lose one like that. That was my best doe, the best mama that I had. She always makes great nests, takes real good care of them. Sorry, lady. She lost all her bunnies. There was 7 of them, and they just didn't make it. Well, what happened? I have a few ideas, because she's never done anything close to that before. Honestly, her first litter of rabbits, she usually has very big litters and has a great time with it. But there was a few things that happened recently this winter that I think led up to causing that. Now, the first one was temperature. Everybody's probably heard of the great frost freeze that's been across most of the United States lately. Well, it's been past several weeks, about a month across a lot of the Midwest, very frigid, much colder than normal. We don't usually get into the teens or below very often, but we had a lot of days in the 0, negative degree temperature range. And that's hard on the rabbits. They're not quite used to it. And just the stress of going from like 30 degrees one day to 0 degrees the next day, and then it staying that way for a while. That big dip in temperature, that sharp, causes a lot of stress. And I'm pretty sure that's one of the big points that played a role into my best rabbit losing her litter. She got a bit stressed. One of the other things that my fault I didn't think about until after the fact, and I thought about what I did and I knew I shouldn't have done it, is I came out here and I cleaned out cages maybe about 2 days before the bunnies were supposed to be born. I came out and I cleaned out all the cages. I got rid of all the snow on top. There was a lot of snow up here. I didn't want the cages collapsing. Cleaned them all out. Well, I should have known better. That kind of thing just messes up the attitude, kind of changes around with the behavior of the rabbits. And it might even be that can change some of the hormones, since their behavior is basically all hormone driven. That would make sense. Basically, by cleaning things around, I changed up kind of how she had laid out her cage and where she wanted to put her nest. She had everything about ready to go. I messed it all up, and she never really fixed it again after that. Shame on me. Don't clean out your cages. Don't do anything loud next to your rabbits when it's close to time for them to have their bunnies. Limit anything that's just a sudden change to their environment, and that'll really help to limit the stress. You know, get a little snow out of here. This is the nest that the failed litter was in. I'm sorry that they got too cold like that. Basically, the mama didn't build a good nest for it and put them in it, really. She had them kind of in the nesting box, but way out here in the front, and they were all in a pile. They weren't covered at all. There was no good nest hole made. She just didn't take care of them at all. So I'm pretty upset about that still, and it kind of bothers me that it's slightly my fault that I lost my bunnies this time around. So I'm not mad at them over it, I'm mad at myself. Shame on me. Now here's an interesting thing that I'm doing though. I've heard of this, but this is the first year I've ever tried it, and it's incredible. Now I've got my bunnies, they're in here with this doe right now. Well, this doe is the one who lost her litter, but she's still got the mothering instincts going on. This mama, last time around, wasn't a very good nurser. She's a brand new mom. This is her second litter, and she didn't nurse well the first time around. So I just wanted to make sure things were going along, didn't want to lose any more bunnies. So what I did was, after she got her nursing in, I took the nesting box and I put it over into this cage. Well, this mama hopped right on and nursed them too. So all week, I've been coming out in the morning. This mama gets to nurse in the mornings. I pull the nesting box out when I come out and feed them in the morning, and I switch it over here. When I come back out in the evening after work and I give them food and water again, I pull that nesting box out and put it back with this mama. Now that only works if you have 2 does or more and one of them lost their litter. You can do that, but what that does is, especially in this super cold that we've had, which is a really stressful time, which impacts their milk production like crazy, that makes sure that the bunnies are getting enough protein. Protein is huge for their growth at this stage. Otherwise, they'll be small and weak and stunted. And I don't want to really deal with trying to supplement feed little bunnies right now. That's a really hard thing to do well anyways. So by doing this, by letting both of the mama rabbits nurse this nest, these bunnies are the biggest and strongest and fattest and honestly most active bunnies that I have ever seen, and I have seen a lot of bunnies. So anyways, not that I'm going to recommend this situation where one of your litters dies off or anything, but if you're in this situation, it could be beneficial just to know the fact that you can have two mother rabbits nurse the same litter of bunnies if one of them lost theirs. It's just something to keep in the back of your brain, so if you ever get in a weird situation, kind of like what I'm in right now, you could think, hey, I remember some old weird guy on YouTube said something about that, and you can help to remedy that situation if you need to. Now, as you saw, those bunnies were very wiggly, very hoppy around. Shucks, from day one, this mama doe made a really great nest. The babies were still even a little bit wet, weren't even fully dried off yet, and they were still very wiggly and warm because they were in a good warm nest. It's insane how well insulating a well-structured bunny nest is. It's incredible. They just make a nice little nesting spot in their hay or straw, whatever you're giving them for that. Make a nice ball of fur. They pull all the fur out from their belly that they can. They pull a lot of fur out from their belly and line the nest with that and just make a big plug out of fur basically and put it on top. So those bunnies stay real warm. The only thing is you've got to really watch when you're coming out here to check on them or feed them. Just make sure that they're not getting all the way to the top of that nest. Sometimes as they wiggle, they can get a little bit to the top of the nest. And whether that's this cold, you want to watch that. Just make sure they're staying down in the bottom. Other than that, there's not a whole lot of concern over this cold weather. One last point I will have to mention to you guys. When you're opening the cages, I come out here a lot after dark, after work, and before the sun's up in the morning before I go to work. I can't see things that great. When you open a cage, sometimes you startle the bunnies, and they're at the stage now, about a week old, where they're starting to startle hop. When they startle, 1 or 2 of them often jump straight up, and they oftentimes will jump right out of the nest, and then they can't get back in. Mama has to put them in. Well, if I am moving the nesting box around, or the box is near the cage door and I open it, they can actually jump and fall right out of the cage. I've had that happen. Luckily it was summertime, and we found 2 bunnies at the bottom of the cage the next day when I came out. That was on a Friday night. Apparently I had 2 of them jump out, and I found them Saturday when I came out after breakfast to go see all the animals. So keep an eye on things. That's the main point here. is just let the rabbits do their things, but keep an eye on things. Well, thanks for watching Northern Homesteading. I hope you guys like this. Click the like button if you care to, and look around for more useful information. Bye now.